no matter where they choose to reside within the jurisdiction of the United States. That way, when someone breaks the laws of the United States, the accuser is the United States of America, right? But the United States of America cannot be presumed to be neutral and biased to act as a judge in the case if its own agents are coming forward to accuse and enforce laws. Therefore, we need a neutral, unbiased third party to act as a judge, which was what the states were created to do. The states are to be the judges because the United States of America would bring the criminal act, the criminal accusation. And now you have the separation of powers. That's how it works. So when the United States of America brings the laws and brings an accusation of violation of laws, the judge can act as a neutral and biased third party because it is not the government that created the laws, and therefore it is separate to be able to act as a neutral, unbiased decision maker, right? And so the purpose of the judiciary was to protect the minority from the majority. Their purpose was to guarantee that that person got the rights that they're entitled to, because they're disconnected from the one actually seeking the enslavement, the separation of church and state, as you might say. You know, so these judges have lost their way. They've completely lost their way. They lost their way because they work for the very entity that's profiting off of the enslavement of these people. They're part of it. They're profiting off of the involuntary servitude of the weakest, most vulnerable in our society in these institutions that we call sweatshops in China, but prisons here in America.
Well, I think
that's not what they were created to do at all.
And just getting back to simpler terms for most people watching this, we are getting this slavery for the simple fact that we're uneducated. Is there any argument to that?
No.
Uneducated republic, and it's pretty much it's slavery. An educated republic is freedom. Uneducated republic, which is a limited democracy, you have a chance for freedom.
Yeah.
But uneducated is always slavery. And I think there's an intention to that. But what you're trying to do with your actions is educate the people at the top right now. Yeah. You're looking for the trickle effect here. You'd like it to everybody to start becoming more aware and awake.
Yeah.
It's common misconception of the law.
I mean, so the way I like to say it is that this issue of criminality, you know, the way we're trying to solve it is never going to work. You cannot go out and fight from the bottom up. You can't go out and arrest the people for the crimes that they commit, because if our country is being led by criminals, people that are acting outside of the law, because remember, a criminal is simply one that transgresses the law. And it doesn't matter if you're transgressing the Constitution or transgressing state statute. If you transgress the law, you're a criminal. But if our country is being led by criminals, then they're going to lead us toward criminality, right? Which will create an environment of criminality, and that will produce a society of criminals. So we cannot arrest people for crimes that are being committed and expect those convictions and arrests to be valid if the top is committing crimes at the beginning. Because there's a maximum of law that says that any unconstitutional act or unlawful act at the beginning cannot become lawful over time or by subsequent legislation. So if the very first step is unlawful because you're not following the Constitution, the very document laws that create your office and regulate your authority, if you're committing a criminal act in the very, very beginning, then what you're producing is not valid. It's criminal. It's unlawful. So if you want to have, you know, people be accountable for the crimes that they commit, then you yourself need to be above the law. You know, I mean, if you're going to be a piece of shit criminal, standing at the top saying I'm leading this country in a lawful direction because I'm so honorable, I'm going to call the bullshit flag on that, because that's not what you're doing. You're kind of a piece of shit, and I'm going to call you out for it, because I'm not going to call someone honorable, because just as Justice Hugo Black said in 1960, honorable men honor the law, and you're not honoring the law. I've shown you that your actions are criminal. 32 attorney generals. You want to walk around and talk about how amazing you are and leader, or do you want to accept the fact that you guys are destroying our country and you're profiting off of your illegal acts? And then to add insult to injury, you make us stand up and call you honorable when you walk into the courtroom? Are you insane? Like, you're destroying our country, and you're doing it for what? So you can get some votes? So you can make some money, so you can get an easy conviction because you don't want to waste the time, because you want to say that blame the system and the laws for your incompetence. I mean, I'm going to call you out for your situation, because You guys are what's destroying this country. It's not the people out there committing crimes. You guys are creating the crimes. You guys are. Because if you want to lead our country in a lawful direction, then you'll produce a good environment, which will produce a good citizenry, right? Because I know that I'm going to follow leaders and where they go. And I did for half of my life following criminals. And I myself became a criminal as a result of that, right? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow you guys because I know what you are now. And I'm going to call you out for what you are. But we need to understand that if our country is being led by criminals, then we're going to be led toward crime. And then we wonder why we have mass incarceration. We wonder why we have increased crime rate. Because they're criminals. They're leading us. And so we need to stop following them. Because there's nothing honorable in breaking the law. There's nothing honorable in robbing the people of the United States so that you can line your own pockets and then blame the law for your incompetence. I would say that before you say that something is imperfect, I would first suggest that you use it the way it's designed to be used. Don't blame it for your incompetence or your laziness, because that's all that it is. The law is clear. It says what you have to do. And if you don't follow it, you're a criminal. So we need to first ensure that we have leaders that are leading our country in a lawful direction. I love faith and obedience to law, respect for the will of the people and laws they establish. And when we do that, then we're going to be heading in a good direction, and then we can start resolving the issue of criminality. But don't presume that you can make decisions, right? Create a task force that you call drug task force that buy, sell, and manufacture drugs. They create a criminal environment where this drug use can be done, where you, government, are creating it because of your task force. And then when people come in and break the law and become an addicted individual because you, of course, created that criminal environment, and then you're going to send them off to prison to profit off of them and call them the evil, horrible people, but yet you created this criminal environment. Again, I'm going to call bullshit on that. If you are going to make a decision that says that porn is completely legal, right? It's simply a freedom of speech, and yet you're supposed to be the moral protagonist for our country, leading our country in a moral direction, and then you say, oh, well, we're going to start sending all these sexual deviants off to prison now, because remember, today, the majority of people that are going to prison have got something to do with sexual deviance, right? It's now the vehicle that's driving mass incarceration because, as the judges would like to say, who's going to stick up for a sex offender, right? Just like they did in the 1960s when they said, who's going to stick up for a drug addict, right? This narrative is repeating itself. They're creating this environment so that they can create sexual deviance, so that eventually that will create sexual deviance, and that will then feed mass incarceration and continue that direction. So if you are going to say that you're our moral leaders, right? You're going to say that you're leading our country, and I would say lead us in a good moral direction. Don't make decisions that's going to line your pockets and then blame the people for your criminal environment that you created. Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park here. I want